Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dev Fireside Chat. My name is Matthew, joined by Howard and Jacob. Eric is out at Unite Beijing, if I have that correct. So he'll be out for a bit, and he won't be joining us for Fireside Chat, though I know he misses us all greatly. But this week we're going to be talking about what's been going on in the Dev app for testing tomorrow, 2 p.m., so get to hear me harp on that at least 5 times throughout the chat. We'll be talking about what's been going on in the office, what we've been testing for Assault Mode, and in between all that, answering all the questions that you guys come up with. So, I guess to start off with, there is testing tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. That means you will be there. I will be there. It'll be a great time. We're going to be testing out Carronade, flamethrower changes. The UI changes you guys have suggested and given us feedback on aren't in yet, but we do thank you, just everybody for those. There's a lot of great stuff being worked on. I just don't want you to think that, we got the feedback. We're who cares what you guys think? No, it's being worked on. It's just not in yet. But I will see you tomorrow for that. And then we'll move into what's been going on at the office. Howard, you're our man on the inside.
I mean, how is it that now that we made Carronade changes, people are saying that no, Carronade is great. Don't nerf it.
Well, I mean, nobody likes it. There's always going to be people against the nerf.
Yeah, I said nerf it. Nerf that guy. I mean, let's see, what do we do this week? Just the same old, I think. There's a lot, some testing going on. So basically how we work is that every Tuesday and Thursday, the days that we have the Fireside, no, it's not the Fireside, the dev hours, we also test co-op. So we test co-op internally twice a week. And, whatever things that we discover, things that we need to work on, we'll be working on it throughout the rest of the week, right? So, so it's kind of like a crazier, faster sprint cycle for co-op. I mean, in development, we kind of tend to do that. When the game is out now, the update cycle is a little bit longer. But when we are iterating on co-op, it's actually a lot sooner. We make fixes a lot sooner than that. Usually it's a day or two. We'll make adjustments. And so this week we were still testing Assault. I mean, Assault is just a name for a map, right? And basically what it is that, once again, it involves resources. The enemies will have multiple harvest drills that will spawn. And you are basically just attacking these resource outposts and try to take it down one by one until you get to a final base, and you will be attacking that base and trying to destroy it. So it's a more offensive game mode, and a lot of the work obviously is just trying to get the engagement to feel right. So some of it is just AI pathing. This map is it's a more complicated map design. So then we ran into problems with AI pathing, run into walls, basically navigating narrow spaces. So then, Alex is going to go back to work on, just really a lot of the AI behavior and make sure that they can fly through narrow spaces that they've flown through before. We're starting to spec more what you do with resources and how that correlates with the game mode a lot more. We test out 3 new guns this week, and it's very likely that you guys will not see this gun in PvP ever. But because of that, we can go crazier with how these guns work and how they behave. And so we have 3 guns. One is I don't know what you call it, a gas mortar, right? And another one is a Tesla weapon, and the third one is a beam weapon. So they're pretty fantastic, I would say. And we play a lot with not just enemy AI, but with friendly AI as well. So every map there's some friendly AIs that assist you, and so we did a lot of AI logic to this as well. So yeah, I mean, it's all in all, a pretty good test week, actually. I think personally, I think it's a step up to, say last week's testing, and I feel like we're getting closer on this mode as well. And once we have this, we have a lot of the sort of the in mode or like in match, more either bonus objectives, secondary objectives, and better ways to gauge how well you're doing in the level. I feel like then we can start getting people to come in, more people to come in and test.
So
finally.
I do have to say, Howard, you kind of buried the lead. You started with, nothing really exciting this week. And then you're like, laser cannon, lightning gun, gas mortar. Yeah, nothing exciting. Not like a super awesome weapon barrage.
The guns right now, there's no like R asset created, right? So they just kind of look like Minecraft. But man, it's really cool. It's still very satisfying.
So,
I think this is where like, you can do some, just prototyping and without even R assets, and they actually work pretty well. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Alex got back to me because I was having major issues yesterday, and I was going like full slideshow frames. Apparently, every time the laser cannon was fired, it shot multiple errors into my computer. Basically, it just shut it. Oh, it just slowed it down to nothing.
Oh, interesting. So what happened?
I don't know, but apparently he found the error, so it's going to be fixed up. But basically, it was an error gun for me, is what it was shooting.
Yeah, I mean, this game mode right now, I think is playing the best out of all the other game modes that we prototype. I think it's hard. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, right now the game modes, I feel like with the other two game modes, they're still lacking in some ways, but this game mode is kind of more of a combination of a lot of the work that we've done before. And mechanically speaking, I think it's actually pretty solid. We'll have to go back and work on the other two game modes and add some more nuances to it. But this game mode is it's getting pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then there are a couple questions. We do see you in the chat, and I will be grabbing you up as I normally start in the start. We ramble on what we're going to do, and I grab questions in between. If you ever feel like I miss your question for whatever reason, feel free to type it in again. It's not like spam, as long as you're not just like copy pasting it. So the first thing is, quick question about co-op. What is the Fjord Barony's boss ship actually called? I've heard it called a dreadnought, battleship, battlecruiser, and a carrier.
I am not sure actually. I mean, I don't know if like Eric has an official name for it. I mean, with naming right now, whatever term that we're tossing around, like just don't. I don't think you have to worry about it that much, because even with the game modes, they're all internal names.
Mm.
When we actually like get closer to release, we'll try to nail down some like cooler names. But for now, like you don't really have to worry about it because they're just all like stand-in. You can just assume that they're all placeholder names.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with the game mode, like we're debating, right? Because I mean, say for instance, we call one of the game modes defense, right? And then we're still using it just because we've been using it all like on our internal documentation and whatnot, on Trello and whatnot. But then, as we develop this, say that mode in particular, it's no longer just defense. It's actually more nuanced than that. You're actually while you're defending your base, you're also actively going out to assault enemy outposts and also collecting resources and harvesting them back to your base. So it's actually more nuanced than that. The name is kind of no longer applicable, but then we're just using it so that it's easier for us to reference and test. So I don't think you have to worry too much about it right now.
Okay. How is the Unity 5 update coming along?
Oh, I mean, it's not like it's coming along. I mean, so we have been using Unity 5 just internally to test and to port it, to use it for a PS4 port, for example, and just to test out a lot of the new features and how buggy it is. But we'll never release. We've learned since 4.0, right, to not release, until basically just to not update, the live game with the latest Unity build because, like Unity, when a new Unity version comes out, especially a major Unity release comes out, it's never really stable. It'll probably take like at least a few months for them to get all the major bugs out. If you guys remember, like, when we rolled out 4.0 because we wanted to to offer Linux support, right? To offer a Linux build, like, end up there's some bugs, some input related bugs that, that Unity bugs. I mean, that end up costing it. That end up like taking them a year to a year to fix some of the input bugs, right? So I mean, that's just something that we're not doing. So it's not like, oh, just because Unity rolled out an update, we'll like update the game with Unity 5 right away. We're not going to do that, and you probably won't expect to see, the production guns build to be built with Unity 5 for like 3 to 6 months.
All right. And someone's saying that out of office thing kind of makes me nervous. Eric, so Eric is out of office. He is in the Beijing Connect or.
No, so he's in Unite. So Unite is the Unity game conference, right? And then now they're hosting it in a few different locations. So for example, the Unite US one, they'll be doing it in Seattle, I think, and then the Unite Europe, they'll be doing it in, I believe that last year they did it in Amsterdam, and then so the Asia one, they're doing it in Beijing. Eric's giving a talk at Unite in Beijing. It's supposed to be huge. They're talking about like 7,000 to 8,000 attendees to the show, and then because there are only like a few different tracks. So yeah, I mean, I think the people going to any talk could be like over 1,000. Yeah, the Unite Asia last year I was there. The talk I gave, the audience is already like 600 people. So yeah, it's pretty big.
And the Last of the Living says, Howard, I commend you for turning up with full-on flu. Hope you get better soon.
Yeah, I'm already like a lot better. I mean, I still have a little bit of cough, but I'm mostly good. Like the last few weeks have been pretty rough, but yeah, I'm all right.
And then Orange Vayman says, laser cannons 10 to 10 buying this game. They are really fun. So.
Wait, who is it?
Orange Vayman.
Okay.
But yeah, laser cannons, they are ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was like Orangey, or like Orangey, like was still had a dialogue about about matchmaking. Even that, he would be pleased to know that a rematch will now be forever like diamonds.
Yay! So Sammy asks, what are you all worried about most in terms of initial reception? What are we all going to hate? So about co-op mode.
Wait, Sammy?
Yeah, so he's curious, like, if there's anything in co-op mode that we're worried about players hating.
I mean, I am not sure. I mean, like, okay, just some of the things that I feel like we are working on, that we need to work on, right, will be replayability, one. So to basically offer more than just a shooting gallery. So hopefully the map the game modes in the maps will be designed so that it's tactically interesting, it is strategically interesting, it is exciting enough, it offers a lot of replay. I think we're definitely, the progression is also a pretty big component, right? We want to make sure that as you progress through the game, it's interesting and you don't just get bored with it. And I think I think another challenge is it's really with world and faction progression, how we balance that. That will be a pretty interesting challenge and something that we might have to adjust on the fly even, because like I'm sure that it won't be the case. It probably won't be the case where all 4, 5, 6 factions will, get equal like excitement or loyalty to, right, or affinity for. So, kind of how we navigate through that, will be challenging, I think. And then lastly, it's also content. We'll obviously need to have at least enough content for people to feel like it's worthwhile. So, I think there's just a number of things that at least we're working on, because the game is still being built. So there are a number of things that we're working on that I feel like they're just challenging to overcome. And hopefully we can do a good job. Another thing is just like, we're learning to, just fundamentally allowing people to learn the game better. And I think with co-op, it will be at least a little bit easier because you're not fighting player opponents, and I think that actually makes it a little bit easier. So
I would contend that, Sammy, out of the gate, there will be nothing that you or anyone else hates. I think out of the gate, it'll all, like, I'm not saying everyone will love it, but I believe there will be no hate out of the gate. I will believe hate will come when we make a change. Because there'll be people, like, sort of with guns, the biggest hate or, controversy we've had is changing physics or changing the way something works or nerfs or buffing something. And I think that's when, it'll become more the PR battle. But I think out of the gate, people are going to be, because it's new, it's different. It's not like, oh, you've taken something I already like and, like, changed it in a way. It's, let's experience new things. So there's not going to be a hate over it. Kind of thing. All right, let's see. What about Stamina? When is it coming out?
Let me see. Tentatively,
April 2030? April something, I thought.
Ooh. 28th.
Yeah.
28th, give or take.
I was really worried I was about to show how little I knew the months by saying April 30th, and it'd be like a month with 29 days or something.
Yeah, that only happens in February, by the way. So, so Stamina we're aiming for the 28th.
But everyone should keep coming in, testing, and saying what they think about it. Tomorrow, 2 p.m.
Yay!
Yeah. But no.
I think it's actually really interesting with Stamina testing, right? Because I feel like, I don't know if this is true. I think some people just don't like Stamina and whatnot. And we can totally get into that, and I have no problem getting into this debate like right now. But the tangible issues that people have been voicing about Stamina, one is just visuals. One's just it ties to pilot skill effects and just stamina effects and whatnot. And lack of sound and so on, and that obviously has been addressed. We actually made 2 iterations of it, and in the current iteration, people seem to be, at least the people who test and give us feedback, that seem to be better. One aspect of it is just it's with engineering, with like jumping, and there's some. How like when you run around the ships, there's always sometimes you get stuck on the ship in different places. It's a little bit clunky, and then with stamina, engineering stamina, that exacerbates that. So that's something that we're looking into when working on fixing. And then really the other one was with the other big thing was with Gunner, with Karen in particular. And I think with that, we do realize that, okay, fine, ARC is controversial, but I think we've also identified that, when you guys helped identify that is actually Karenate, really, that is causing a lot of these issues. Because I think with Stamina, it exacerbates, if people felt like they were on the edge about Karenate, I think that feeling is exacerbated because of Stamina, and I think we're taking a pass at looking at Karenate specifically, and that seems to be like another sore spot. So hopefully, like with all these sore spot out of the way, then the debate just becomes, well, why do you guys even put stamina in? It seems to be like, more advanced thing with, only some impacts, like, not like, drastic, life-changing impact on the game. And what I would say to that is that, great, perfect. That's exactly, actually, that's exactly what we should be aiming for. It's another nuance and another layer of, of gameplay that you guys can try out that could potentially augment gameplay, but it doesn't fundamentally, do gameplay detriment, which is like kind of exactly the sweet spot that we're trying to aim for.
All right. And then there was a couple questions. So since we have laser cannons, and some other features that are usually considered futuristic, would you consider a gameplay in different eras interesting or more futuristic stuff?
I mean, I think that's interesting. I mean, with like the quote unquote laser cannon, it's not really like a laser cannon. It's not like an ion beam laser cannon, right? It's like, it's like the reference is more like the God lamp, like the magnified, I don't know. I mean, I might be out of my depth in physics wise, but it's really more like, magnified beams of light. So in that sense, it's a little bit. it's not. I think it's a technology that could pass in our era, and just like a Tesla-based weapon, well, does Tesla-based weapon exist? Well, not really, but given that in a fantastical setting within the scope of technology, that's still within the realm of possibility. So I would say we're actually out of scope here. But as far as like basically a different era, but with the same mechanics, yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about Guns of Icarus Space, yeah, like we've gotten a bunch of requests for a space version of guns. So, yeah.
And then
we'll see.
And then Johnny says, "Hey guys, just joined. I noticed a crazy powerful flamethrower meta appearing all of a sudden. My Paramedian is going down in 30 seconds with all the engines and hull when it gets hit with the flamethrower, meta flamethrower. Any tips on how to counter besides /rage quit?" Some people already said Chem Spray, which is definitely a very good one.
Yeah, wait. This is in dev app or in production?
Production.
Huh. Yeah, because I mean, production. Most vets are saying that flamethrower is useless.
Well, but
so
I mean, it's one of those things of vets. When you have all four people working together, flamethrowers are useless because you have your Chem Spray rotations down. But flamethrower is definitely still a very effective weapon, and actually, there's a small nerf to it in the dev app right now. So, Johnny, I'd say you should come tomorrow, test it out, let us know what you think.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And I would say, for me anyway, how to counter guys with flamethrower is just kill it before it gets you.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of like the carronade flamethrower thing. If they're close to you, they're probably gonna win because they've got the better weapon for the situation.
You got to put it out before it spreads.
Yeah,
that kind of deal.
Yeah,
destroy the flame source, and there will be no flames.
Just kill that damn shit. That's what I say. I hate being flamed. I hate being carronated. I hate being rocked. So my goal is just kill it. Kill it before it gets me.
Do we realistically think that co-op will be successful enough to allow adventure mode to be more like an MMO, open world, build your own ship, etc.?
It's not really I mean, I think if it's like, okay, if co-op is like so wildly successful, then we're making so much money that we have the wherewithal to have a huge team to work on an MMO, then I feel like, okay, fine, maybe we'll consider it. But I like we were saying before, right? Kind of all throughout, the goal was never to build an MMO. Like we would never, some people like refer, some like, maybe media or some people refer to it as like an attempt at an MMO. But I mean, I would say that we'll adopt some of these, some of the elements that we think are cool, with like world progression, world building, factions, and to have a sense of, geographic location in the world. But we were never aiming for MMO. We were never aiming for open world. We would actually never like going for that. And that was something that was, that's something that it was unrealistic for us to ever achieve it. So, I mean, yeah, if there's any confusion still, like, we could probably just keep clearing that up. But yeah, I mean, the intent was never to build an MMO. Yeah, I mean, that's what like we even said, like, in Kickstarter, like, it's like, we'll basically die trying to get to it.
Yeah, actually, I think in the first part of our FAQ on our homepage is, this sounds a lot like an MMO. It's not an MMO kind of thing, and it's basically what Howard said, just repeated in text form. Someone did ask, and it was answered, but I do want to give the official answer. Will people who backed Adventure get co-op mode? Yes, you will. So everyone's saying yes. I just want you now have an official Muse confirmation as well.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's like, just forget, like, whatever we call it, adventure mode, co-op, blah blah. I mean, let's just call this an expansion, all right? Because, like, it's like maybe some people consider it's like, oh, there was this thing called adventure mode, and you guys are working on PvE, blah blah. But we're not working on just something, just like a few PvE maps either, right? I mean, we're also designing faction and world progression, which is, for instance, like, there's the stuff that we were talking about on Kickstarter and whatnot. We in Kickstarter we also talk about, like, building towns and whatnot. I mean, that's kind of TBD, because that's something to do with skinning, and so whether that's interesting or not, I mean, that's kind of up for debate a little bit. But whether, regardless of what we call it, at any point, the point is that we're working on an expansion to the game, and it could be in the future we could work on another expansion to the game, I think the point is that with the Kickstarter campaign, whatever expansion that we're working on is something that you have access to, basically.
And then someone was saying that the laser could actually be referred to as Archimedes' mirror, which is something basically that it's past, so it's not future. So boom, we're still we're more friendly with lasers.
Yeah. Like, when we concepted, we called it God Lamp, which is, the design is basically, magnified. I don't know if sunlight or it's basically just magnified beam of light.
And then someone's asking, how is the lore for adventure mode going?
I don't know, like, what Eric is doing with lore on a day-to-day basis, but yeah, I mean, he's flushing more of that stuff out. And I guess with lore, it's like, okay, part of it is what we'll write, and it could be, like, iterative, like, so if we have an idea for a new map, new mode, whatever, I mean, we can. I think right now the most important thing is to kind of establish a framework and structure, and the worldview and whatnot, and to kind of basically build a foundation. And there are definitely things that we can explore and extend upon. And part of it is just that, like, we also want to build what players do into the lore. So yeah, so if the teams or the factions or the individuals who do well for a given season or and whatnot, specific moments in time in the game, we also want to record that as part of the annals of, like, our world history. So I think that's kind of cool. So I think it's also two parts. So one is that we'll be adding more of, like, I guess, our lore, but another part is to enable players, like the deeds of the players, to influence the lore of the world as well. I think that's cool.
And
we just gotta make it happen.
How are the Echo political system and world building tools coming along for adventure mode? So I know Eric made a large document about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, so we have some, like, groundwork done, but yeah, part of that is, like, we need a lot of art support too. Like, we need actually a lot of UI work to make that happen, and just our work to make that happen as well. And that's something that recently it's been a struggle because so we had a UI guy who come help it do some work and he left. So yeah, we're actually we actually have a HR problem making that happen. But we'll try to get that. So it's a little bit, I guess we're a little bit behind in that respect, but we need to figure that out. Yeah.
And someone asking, can we separate the music and drums in the configs? And Sammy's asking, can we get the old drums music back? The sonar was kind of nice.
I think is that an option? There's definitely a Trello card to make that an option. I don't know if we implemented that yet.
So the way that we did make a change recently. So instead of having the sonar, it's now it doesn't go on until you get hit. And
but there was a Trello card to make basically the sonar drum an option though. I just don't know if we did that or not.
I don't believe so. I don't think we've done it yet. I don't know if it was. I think that's just ideas pile. I don't think it even got moved to approved yet.
Oh really?
Yeah. I do not remember exactly though. There are a lot of cards.
Yeah. I mean, if not, we should note that down though, because I think making that an option is something that we should definitely do. I mean, I don't think there's any debate whether we should make that an option. I thought we talked about it actually, but because if you make an option, if you decide to, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something that we should note down and at least have a debate about.
Definitely.
Personally, I would say making options fine. But.
Mm-hmm. And then Boodles says, I kind of feel like you guys aren't aiming high enough for adventure mode. I can't see how it'd be fun to play missions with just backstory. I'd much rather play an MMO, and he personally dislikes MMOs. Though Desert Jackal brings up a very good point. Mass Effect is just missions with a backstory, technically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a question of whether we aim it high enough or not. It's really whether, with every project, we need to know where our scope is, right? And if you look at MMO projects, so for example, Richard Garriott is working on the Shrouded Avatar, which is an MMO. I mean, that has taken. I mean, he has a team. I'm sorry, he has a team of I think now 50 some people, and it's taken him 3 years. 3+ years. So it's really. I also don't I think what we should not do, just in all the years of us being in development and working on stuff is actually we should not aim too high. And I think the worst case is that we can be out of scope, and because we'll never get there. It's better to aim where we think we should be aiming, and to achieve it and to iterate it and to build something solid and to make it better than it is to aim really, really high and not be able to achieve that. I mean, it sounds like, I don't know. I mean, it sounds, we can debate that back and forth. So there are definitely startups who would tell you, like Tesla or something, right? Where Elon Musk's going to tell you, oh my God, we're going to, in 5 years, we're going to have a higher valuation than Apple. Right, and then they get a ton of VC money, and they win IPO. The stock's at $200, and everybody loves them because they think that Elon Musk is a visionary and a genius. But you know what though? If he doesn't get there, everybody's gonna call him a fraud because he totally bullshit and lied, right? And so you can say that okay, oh, that's just a visionary. He didn't. Tried, you failed, and whatnot. But the thing is that I think it's good to have a responsible goal to aim for, and to deliver something to our players or to you guys, which is actually the most important thing. I actually don't think that aiming high, it's aiming unrealistic, knowing full well that we're aiming unrealistically high, and not being able to get there. I don't think it's a responsible thing to do. Not with you guys' money.
The Admiral's saying that we need to add a new item, basically a drum that adds the old drum sonar effect.
Oh man! All right, that's.
So Steamnot said he missed the adventure mode lore answer, how the political system and world building tools are coming along. They're spec'd out. We have a framework up that is actually testable that Eric and Jerry put together. And Howard was just saying we need more art for it is the biggest thing.
Yeah, we need a UI person to actually help us. Right now we're short a UI person. Yeah, long story short. So.
And we've actually caught up on questions. I'm feeling good. We got a good pace going here. Oh no, we missed one question. Poor Jacob isn't getting in any word. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's because I talk a lot. I'm trying to bullshit and answer all the questions and steal the spotlight away from Jacob. It's intentional.
Poor Jacob. Will there be any lore explanation for why the balloons deflate downwards?
It's the magic of science. It's alchemy. Yeah. Yeah, there's I don't know. I mean, I could ask Alex why, why that's the way it's implemented. But no, top of mind, I don't have an explanation for it.
All right. Matt Bucket saying, will the Tesla gun only work in rainy weather and the laser only work on sunny weather because it's charged with the sun?
Oh, man.
Yeah, the new mechanic, match your weapons to the weather.
It's just then, if we really dive into that, then we'll have to explain why when you fall, when you fall off ship, you can magically spawn back on your ship, or if your ship disintegrates, it will respawn somehow, in 20 seconds or not. I don't know.
We don't need to explain these things.
The magic of gameplay.
You guys know what it is, right? Making a game is all smokes and mirrors. You guys know that, right? It's all make believe. It's like making a movie, right? Everything that we do is make believe.
Yeah, it's definitely which lies can we get everyone to believe together? We'll have
it's all so real. Oh.
Any more information on the proposed visible balloon controls? So the up down lever.
Yeah, I don't want to break. I don't want to disillusion anybody. So I apologize. I don't know. I think I might have gotten myself in hot water. But
this is all real.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Also, Sammy BT, I think, said it really well. The suspension of disbelief is important for the consumption of any media.
You're right.
Definitely true.
Sky whales!
No, you know what, Sammy, if that applies to yes, I think that's actually very true. So.
Yeah.
Skyward, yeah. I mean, man, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say. I'm actually not gonna say anything.
You need to find them.
Yeah, I think that might be a case where just one day I'll ruin the element of surprise. So I'm just not gonna say anything.
Oh.
When will I have the improbability drive upgrade for my ship? You know what? I will say in 42 years. So if we're gonna
That's a while.
Well, if we're gonna go on the if we're gonna go with that reference joke, I will follow suit.
I'll be 62.
Well, yeah, Sammy, we know that you weren't making a joke with suspense of disbelief. Yeah, it's a real term and concept. I'm a huge fan of it. Yes, it has a Wikipedia
Don't
page.
worry,
It must be real.
Everything is real, all right? It's good.
I thought there was another question, but I feel like no, we've caught them all. Is the sky whale real or just a snipe?
Yeah, just not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna be baited into saying more. You guys might just, yeah.
Apparently, Delaguna says, "I reject your reality and substitute Guns of Icarus Online."
I would do. I've done the same before.
All right. So how
I
do
mean,
we
you know,
start-
like you know what's really funny, you know, like before when I was watching The Matrix, right, I was like, you know, just like a cheap rift, a really shallow rift on, you know, Eastern philosophy, right? You know, Taoism, and like Zen Buddhism and stuff like that, which I think it is. But then, you know, at the time it's like, whatever, Keanu's Reeves acting sucks. It's like, all right, I mean, the effects are cool, you know, new camera, you know, it's like pretty breakthrough, blah, blah, you know, looks cool. Yeah, kicks ass, you know, it's a fun movie, blah, blah, yada, yada. Now, I think like The Matrix is kind of prophetic. Like, I actually think that people will be plugged into The Matrix with certainty that people will be plugged into. Some people would choose to be plugged into The Matrix one day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so talk about like, you know, suspension of disbelief. Eventually, like, your suspension of disbelief will become your belief system. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It'll become your perception of reality just as much as it's about disbelief.
The Matrix won't be a prison; it'll be a pleasure palace.
Well, I mean, it is.
To start with, anyway.
Yeah, it's meant to be both, right?
Yep.
It could be. We never know. Who knows what will happen.
We're getting closer and closer.
All
right, so
it's not worrying at all.
No, it's a good thing. If you had a virtual pleasure
Yeah.
palace whenever you wanted it,
Well, that's what video games are, aren't they?
they're a
It's not
step
mine,
towards
though.
it.
Yes. Oculus Rift next, guys. No, I'll stick to a screen for a few more years. I think.
Hey, there is something that's being kickstarted that takes blood from you when you take damage.
Yes, I've heard about this. I worry about this. The thing is that I don't know. I don't want to put money on whether or not it'll catch on, but if it catches on, people are going to be idiots.
All right. How do you select Steam Workshop items to be added in game? Well, before a patch, 'cause we have to update the game to put in the items.
Yeah. I mean, we go. Look, there are a number of things. Like, okay, being serious for a second, there are a number of things I would look for. Right. One is just like fit. You know, with the worldview of the game, just basically fit, right? And then yeah, we also look at like how well people's done an item. Not gonna lie. And then whether there's like, you know, something like really similar that's been done already. But we also look at, you know, just call it copyright. Just make sure that, you know, the items that are in the game are like, you know, they're really like unique creations. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so to give one example, the Jolly Roger. There's a lot of them in there, and that's why like Tim will say that we're not taking any more Jolly Rogers or Skull and Crossbone anythings, kind of thing. So that's one of the big deal breakers. So our next question is, what current faction is being worked on this week? So what, like boss ships and costumes and.
Oh, which faction? Good question. I'm not sure which ship Eugene's working on. He was working on Yeshin, I think. This week, though, is he still working on Yeshin? I need to check with him. I actually don't even, like, I think whenever he's like, you know, because every, you know, morning we'll do a scrum and every Monday we'll do like a progress thing. Everybody's like talking about what they're doing, whatever. I guess I just tuned out what Eugene said.
Oh.
Eugene, if you're watching, you're very important to us and we care about everything you say.
yeah, except that I just totally tuned out. I know, yeah. I could go ask him. You know what, like, you know, let me go ask him. Let me go ask what Eugene's working on and what Vanessa's like working on. I'll be back.
All right. Someone saying, and who's to say we aren't already in it, reference to the Matrix. That is a thing. If we can simulate a reality here, whether there's a good chance that we are in a simulated reality. That is a very deep philosophical, technical question that we could probably spend an hour on itself and probably not solve. But
yeah, you can't.
Yeah, but I would recommend. There's a lot of awesome research and philosophy on it, and even just as a school of thought for writing, I really like the idea. I'd recommend looking up. Start on Wikipedia and see where it leads you. Like you could spend all day looking it up, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah. Well, there aren't too many questions. Could you explain how adventure mode is going to play? I haven't played Mass Effect, but you can't really compare a single-player game to a multiplayer world progression game. Isn't there any role? Also, isn't there roleplay elements in Mass Effect, currency, etc.? Oh, so first of all, what was?
So costume-wise, we're working on Anglian right this week. Ships-wise, Eugene's working on Arashi, and Jack's working on Yesha. So
there you go. So someone's asking how the PvE mode is going to play because we compared it to Mass Effect. He said he didn't find that a great example. So the mission format to the faction map because ours is multiplayer compared to their single player.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like a model that we have, one model that we reference a lot is Left 4 Dead, for example. I mean, like so. Okay, I'll just tell you how exactly it plays, right? Like so take Assault for example. You spawn in. I mean, you could still be. Let's just say you could still do. You could be one ship actually, but you could be like 2 ship, 3 ship, 4 ship. So it's still the combat on board the ship is still basically the same, with the exception of the different guns and skills that you could potentially use, right? But with Assault, it's like you're spawned in, you have enemies that are on patrol, that will spawn throughout the course of the mission, and you have basically enemy outposts that you'll be navigating towards to be able to take down. And the enemies could, the way the AI could spawn is that they could spawn in Sentry, they could spawn, like with the congregating base when you're assaulting it, and you also have, basically ally ships. Ships are they're AI ships that are like in your faction that will that will that'll be escorting you. That will be in formation in convoy. And then so as you take down, if you accomplish one objective, you move on to the next objective, and then to get to the main base. Right now, I mean, at its core, at its basic core, that's kind of how like a mode will work. If that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, it's not like a narrative-based mission. You're still like playing, basically just battling in PvP map or PvE map. But like once we build more nuanced objectives, then the speed at which you do things matter. You can have secondary objective or bonus objectives where it's more risk and reward. And how well you're doing matters as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And then people are asking, what is that mannequin behind you, Howard?
Oh,
or naked torso.
Yeah, like I think that's. So Eric had that in his apartment. He was using it to practice. What's his form of martial arts? Subakdo, I think. Martial arts, and then he just decided to bring it in, just I guess for fun. But then for a while we were using it to, kind of just practice because like we were, just when Derek's doing animation, sometimes it's useful to, just kind of use it to do stuff to it. Anyways, that's here. So it's kind of here to stay because I think it doesn't really, his apartment, like, Eric's apartment doesn't have room for Bob.
Is that his official name?
Yeah, supposedly that's his name. And now he's just out here. He's just hanging out here.
All right, and then there's a question of how much fun is the Tesla weapon? I got to use it, giant charge up, and then boom, like all the little ships around it exploded. It was wonderful. It was
Yeah, it's like the more it has a range, and the more it can hit multiple targets, and the more you charge. So it's like a kind of a little bit of risk reward. It's like if you charge up a little bit, you can't just like click and fire right now. And so if you charge it a little bit, it does a little bit of damage, to fewer targets. If you charge it up, then it does more damage to more targets. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Like if you guys play, the original, like that single player thing, it's a little bit like how that works, how that Tesla weapon works.
And then someone's asking, so co-op mode will play like the original Guns of Icarus?
No, like nothing should play like the original Guns of Icarus. Okay, I mean that's kind of I shouldn't say that. I should be proud of like everything that we've ever done, but. No, I mean it shouldn't play like the original. The original Guns of Icarus is like everything's on rails, right? No, here it's like you play like the current Guns of Icarus, but you have different game modes. You have just different. Like the original Guns of Icarus, you're just traversing from point A to point B, right? The current Guns of Icarus, there's some objectives that you're supposed to accomplish in the game. It's like you fly as a teamwork like the current PvP, but you're just taking on AI enemies in different formats, and resource and whatnot. Like that kind of meta will have more. It's actually a kind of an integral part of the gameplay.
And then so someone was saying they like the cargo compartment from the original Guns of Icarus. Will it come back?
Wait, the cargo compartment? Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not sure if we're gonna do the work, at least not initially, to outfit, to actually retrofit all the player ships with a physical cargo compartment. But like this concept, right, or the spirit of it is the same. What is similar? So, for example, let's say in one of the modes, right, you can go into so you attack a pretty crazy looking enemy drill, right? I don't know if you guys seen a screenshot of that or a video of that. Like there's a mining drill, like a spider looking, ominous looking drill that is like just drilling the earth, right, with enemy resources, and what we're depleting, your resource reservoir and whatnot. You're just so you'll basically battle through an enemy engagement to get to it, and you shoot it down, blow it up. Once you blow it up, right now, I don't know if that's going to be the final form, but what will represent the resources like that you can collect in sort of a cargo barge, right? And then what you can do is like you can tow the cargo. Then what you'll be doing is you'll be towing the cargo barge back to your base. So then the cargo container is not physically on your ship, but there is a cargo container that you'll be towing with it. And then what then is interesting is that, okay, if you die en route while the cargo is severed, right? The cargo barge is severed from your ship, then the enemy can like actually grab it, so that you can actually contest it. So yeah, I mean, I think in that sense it's really interesting. Of course, like, okay, fine. If we're talking about physically talking about different types of cargo, whether it's like iron ore versus oil versus sheep, or herd of cattle and whatnot, then we'll probably need we'll probably need to be a little bit more creative in how we represent that. But conceptually, it's kind of the same. But then how we visually represent it right now is a little bit different. But having that different visual representation is cool, I think, because it allows us to do some more interesting things with it.
And Boodles is saying he's basically talking about, we've talked a lot about the battles of co-op mode, but we haven't talked about like the progression and the faction expansion behind it, because he's saying that it just sounds like team deathmatch with objectives versus AI. And really, there's going to be this giant faction battle in between it, or behind all this. So everything, when you do really well on the map, you get more points to put into your faction, into attacking, defending, and doing a bunch of other little stuff. So basically, the matches you do aren't just these one-off little things. There will be progression, and will be working towards goals, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw the post that like from last week. So progression. There's really three forms of progression, right? There's player progression, there's faction progression, and there's world progression. Yeah, so it actually won't be, because right now in PvP, it's just player progression. That's all you have. There's really no collective progression. And I think adding progression for a collective is really the fun part, the interesting part. Yeah, so that's something that we're going to be working on. So, is it going to be a team deathmatch versus AI in different game modes with different objectives? Yes, there will be, but there should also be more than that.
And any more plans to ease new players into the Guns of Icarus experience? Yep. Entire tutorial revamps.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Yes.
Yeah, we definitely agree. There's definitely a lot more we want to do to make sure new players have a much better first game experience.
Yeah, I mean, tutorial is like the bane of our existence, right? I mean, it really is. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember how you guys can say yay or nay in chat. Like I don't know who's in, because I'm not watching the Twitch stream right now, so I don't know who's actually in. Who's actually watching the stream right now, but man, like if anybody was here during the beta days, just say yay in the chat, whatever. I mean, there was a time when we didn't have tutorial, guys, because we're like, you know what, we're indie devs, right? Indie devs, like we make an indie game. Yeah, we're too cool for tutorial.
Yeah, what is the tutorial? I don't need one of those.
Yeah, people will learn the game. People learn. People will figure it out because we're indie, and we don't need no stinky tutorials. Yeah, like holy shit, nobody's out to know. You don't know how to play this game. Oh my god, So we've been playing catch up ever since.
Oh, for Boodles, because he mentioned player progression. The player progression in co-op mode is going to be different than the skirmish one. It's not just a number going up. In co-op, we can actually make you more powerful. We can add things, because it's not unfair. Well, it is, but it's to the bots, and who cares how they feel about things.
Yeah. So, player progression, generally, right? Like, I don't, I'd rather have Eric comment, because some of this is spec work, and his spec work, and it's still being built and designed and iterated on. But right now, in PvP, your progression has no meaning. All right, I mean, it's all cosmetic. I would say it's no meaning. It has no meaning. That's very debatable. But then tangibly, it kind of does. It kind of doesn't, in the sense that you don't get better. You don't unlock more gameplay specific things. You don't there's just no stats up or anything, right? So you can choose to earn them if you like, or you can't, or you don't have to. You don't do any of the achievements. You don't have to you can just be better at the game by playing the game. That's it. That is because with PvP, everything needs to be inherently balanced, right? Otherwise, you guys would kill us for it, and the game will be ruined. I fundamentally believe the game will be ruined if it's not inherently balanced. But with PvE, though, that doesn't have to be the case, because we could just scale up AI as you get better at the game. So the player progression, in addition to cosmetic stuff, it was also encompass skills, which I think is very interesting. Cool. Actually, provided that, you're not, increasing your stats at the expense of some other human players, So, and then of course I will have to make a bunch of matchmaking considerations. I will match system design considerations to accommodate that, which we were doing. But yeah. So it's actually not just, it's not going to be the same progression system because we can actually do more with it now.
Yep.
That's cool.
And I'm going to take this last question, and then we're going to sign off. I'll give the big sign off. So, will we be able to see what game mode each map is when voting in the lobby? That is in the approved projects pile. I believe it's being done at some point, but we agree with it. We like it. So, yes, at some point you will be able to see that. And with that, the Iron Fork Friday, is going to be happening a minute after or before we end, basically. So I'm going to go through this quickly. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, testing. We're doing more Carronade and Flamer testing, trying to get the balance on that perfect. There's also stamina in there. We love you guys to test that out for us. It means a lot to us. So join me then. And then next Tuesday, Thursday at 5 p.m. at normal times, Dev Games, join us. You wait and you get a free item. And then next week, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, you get to join us for the Dev Fireside Chat. So, thank you for joining us, everyone. We will see you tomorrow and all of next week. Bye.